Hello and welcome to my first review of the video game. I figured I might as well do this since I'm, playing through all the games and everything. I might as well just give them a quicker video over, what I think about the game and everything. Uh, Also, as you can tell from this picture, I just found random pictures on the internet and fucking slapped them on here because this definitely says Nintendo Switch, even though it's not Nintendo Switch. Uh, yeah, no. This is my review for Dungeons 3, the very first game series I started on this channel. Also, I come to find out while I was making this, I realized that this is the 100th video I've made for this channel. So, hooray, hooray to, as of now, all 25 of you that have decided to subscribe and who love my Donkey Kong videos for some fucking reason of all games. Uh, anyway, might as well get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the gameplay of the actual series. So it's a weird mix of it's a weird, in my opinion, it's more of like a weird city builder almost, because you got you have the dungeon inside and you build rooms and stuff like that, and that's kind of city builderish. I mean, there's also the whole RTS, like commanding the army to fight and stuff like that. uh I do think it's a very good mixture because it's also like a dungeon simulator of of some of sorts as well. So I think that's very good. I will say that with all the building stuff, there's like a whole bunch of different rooms, and you end up spending more time in the dungeon itself, fixing that up and building rooms and expanding and having the fight inside the dungeon. That if any of you have actually seen the videos of my gameplay, you'll notice that I will literally spend like almost the entire level in the dungeon trying to make sure it's all set up and good to go, and before I even start making any kind of headway outside where the actual quest objectives are at. Uh, Now, when it comes to like the gameplay and stuff like that, the quest objectives are usually pretty straightforward. There's no issues with not understanding really what to do per se. Uh, they usually explain it pretty well. Uh, I will say though there are some of these places are annoying to get to because there's obviously obstacles on the overworld. It's also very annoying sometimes when you're trying to expand and you bust open like a spider pit or a dragon's lair, and and your people are already almost dead, and you're fucking like having to fucking scramble to fucking survive because if since you busted open that area, they're sending creatures towards your dungeon heart, which your dungeon heart is what powers the entire dungeon and everything. But in that, for gameplay, it's not hard. You can like pick up your soldiers, your creatures, like throw them anywhere you want inside the dungeon. Whenever you get out, when you send them out of the dungeon, you can't pick them up anymore, but you can order them, by highlighting them and right clicking where to go, and order them to attack, and all focus on one thing. There are some buttons that allow you to, select all your ranged creatures or all your melee creatures only. So if you want to like make them like rush at somebody while your ranged characters are still, focus firing on something else, it's fine. um, All in all, yeah, like I said, it's got very good gameplay. It's very engaged. I would say it's hard. To, when you're playing when you're sitting down to play level. I mean, you can pause it obviously, but you really got to put your focus in on it usually. You can't really like walk off or to smoke a cigarette. You gotta like it's not so micromanaging that you can't get up to use the restroom real quick or get a drink without pausing it. But it's pretty solid for gameplay. Now, when it comes to the plot, the plot's kind of good. Um, at least in my opinion. So you got the Natalia. She's a dark elf, and she is the you know your main general unit. You as a player playing as the ultimate evil, and I've never played the first or second games, and I do not own them either. Um, but I will say that apparently he is bored because he conquered all the continents, all the entire continent that he's on. And but he's bored as fuck now because he doesn't have anything else to do. So he ends up, sending out a bunch of different people and ships, and they all get washed out. And so he built even more ships, and they got washed out. And uh, basically ended up him like doing a magic spell where he sends his consciousness over to the other continent where Talia's at. And Talia, is was adopted by the paladin, as you can see, like the third photo, or the third and fourth photo where he's at. That's her stepfather. Uh, basically, he is he adopted the dark elf to try to reconform her, and by suppressing who she truly is. Um, and he is him and his friends have basically destroyed all evil. So your character is basically having to start from nothing. The ultimate evil is having to start from nothing. So he gets the dark elf Talia to he corrupts her, and for a while in the game she has this dual personality, which comes up a lot, and it's quite humorous sometimes. She's because one side's like, "Ooh, butterflies," and whereas her dark elf is like, you know, fart in their faces and shit like that. Uh, but basically, Talia goes on a rampage. She ends up killing off a racist dwarf, a capitalist magic girl, and a guy who definitely has sex with himself because he can split himself into three different people or four different people, and he's called Eldrick the Pretty. And then finally her stepfather, which the ultimate evil ends up having an actual boss battle with uh, uh, her father, and you don't get to play that at all, of course, because why would they let you do this huge, big old epic battle boss battle whenever it's an RTS type game? But basically, after going through a bunch of different things like poisoning the water hole and everything, uh, she finally gets to the end and she ends up beating her father and killing the father with the help of the ultimate evil. And then evil wins at the end of the day, takes over that entire continent. And then at this point in time, I believe the entire world is now evil. And so, and that's basically the plot. I mean, it's literally just corrupting a girl and her going out and destroying everything. But yeah, I mean, that's plot's not terrible, not too hard to guess. It is different though because usually when in games, and this is something I appreciate about the game, is the fact that instead of it being all good, like you're the good guys type stuff, you're the bad guys in this, and you're and like you're just evil dudes who are causing chaos and killing people, and taking out the forces of good and stuff like that, and that's rare in video games, and really in fiction in general, where you're the bad guy and you're doing stuff that is not good. I think there's another video game series called Overlord that does that. Uh, and but I mean, I just find it very interesting. All right, now for the design of the game. Design's pretty fun. The actual creatures in the game itself looks very good. All the hand drawn scenes are kind of uh they're good. I would say sometimes they look weird as shit, like Talia, like in the previous images, as you saw with Talia behind bars, she kind of looked a little fucked up looking. Oh shit! But they make jokes constantly too, which is very humorous and it's made me laugh a couple times in game, because it's rare to find a game that really just takes the piss out of everybody and they make fun constantly. They're as you can see in the bottom pictures, like they they have a whole chalk outline of the racist dwarf getting killed. And I think that his name is Gimli, which is also making fun of Lord of the Rings, or not Gimli, but something close to it. I mean, they don't even show the actual dead body of the capitalist magic girl, but they just straight up showed a painting of her with the same like right above the dwarf image. Uh, so yeah, for like humor and stuff like that, it's always great. I enjoy being able to like have fun with games and laugh at them. Um, the creature designs and the different creatures that you can access are pretty, most of them are pretty standard. I do like the Naga most games don't include the creature Naga. You know, you always have orcs and goblins, but you never really in ogres. But Nagas are rare. And then you have, you know, for their demons and stuff like that. The demons are kind of you know, their demons are pretty good. You got the fiends, which, you know, pit fiends. You got, I think they're pit fiends. I have to recheck that. But I mean, you have this weird spider demon, which, you know, I'm pretty sure that exists too. I mean, you have succubuses, and then you have a giant like fire minotaur. Uh, which, you know, and then I'll get into more the units and what they do in a bit. But I mean, you also got the undead. Their, you know, their designs are all pretty good. Uh, and they have special, you know, their special, their stuff is different from everyone else. And the factions, all of them really are just really good designs, in my opinion. You know, the dungeon itself, the graphics are pretty good even now. You know, they hold up. They hold up even now, even though this game's been out for a hot minute. Let's see what else about design. The levels, all the levels are different, and when you take over an area too, it's very cool. You'll get to see basically, you know, they have something in there that's like Mount Rushmore isk type. You know, they've got heroes. You take it over, and to give you more, and they'll generate more evil points, which allows you to access different technologies and research. And but when you take those over and you kill the people that are guarding it, they the entire area around it will change, and the Mount Rushmore of good becomes the Mount Rushmore evil, which is a bunch of snots, which are, you know, little worker units, which they, you know, they transform into you know, it, so depending on where you're at, depending on what you take out, it'll change like the surrounding area that, you know, it used to be filled with light and, you know, life and stuff like that, to like burning buildings, you know, skeletons. And then there's one thing where you take it over, like take over a turtle, it becomes uh, something else I forgot off the top of my head, but uh, yeah, so the level designs are pretty good. Almost all the levels are different. I mean, they're most some of them are same and similar when it comes to background, but the levels themselves all have, you know, they're all different, you know, ways to go. You have different, every level's got uh different placements of everything. So you're not just playing basically the same level. You know, some levels have it to where there's only one entrance and exit from the dungeon. Some levels have it to where enemy units can be teleported into certain rooms in the dungeon that you can't block off. Uh, I mean, you can block it off with a door, but, you know, other than that. And then you have traps and everything that you can place down in the dungeon also to help defend against, you know, units. So it's not only just, not only you're having this RTS city building inside, but you're also having you can, like, you have traps to help to defend the inside. And so, like, you know, design all in all is pretty, I like it. It's pretty good design. Once again, a unique game with everything else that's been out today. Now we're getting into the characters. This is Talia, the Dark Elf. And if you've seen the videos, you'll know that my girlfriend has a thing for her. Uh, Believe it or not, when I went looking up for pictures of Talia, I unfortunately got a bunch of Rule 34s. Well, I say unfortunately, but, you know, it just took me 15 minutes to get off those pages. But no, this was it was just really the best picture I could find that wasn't you know, fucked up or just, you know, a standard ass image. Um, and she still looks like a baddie. Anyway, her as a character, like I said, she's a very funny character. You know, she's constantly like screaming, like, especially because she's constantly screaming about doing evil, like smashing their, you know, faces in, you know, you know, farting on them, and like just, you know, like real toilet humor type stuff. And she's also very snippy and sarcastic. And then, like I said before earlier, she's got a split personality in the beginning to middle end of the game. You know, her and her, you know, split personality are constantly, well, I would say warring with each other, but not really warring. But it's more like for comedic effect. But eventually, you know, her evil side wins. Actually, well, I say our good side just gives up because their father is her father slowly but surely, you know, goes insane because of all the evil, I guess. Her as a character though, she's one of the, in my opinion, my favorite unit in the game, simply because of the fact that her abilities are very good. So in the game, once you've taken over some of those places that generate evil for you, you get evil points to research, and you have gold. You can level her up. And if you level up high enough, she gets a special ability, she can launch a fireball that is an area of effect damage. It's very good damage. So that's one thing. You wipe out like a bunch of people in one blow. Usually, I would send it off to the back line because sometimes that helps with, like, especially because you have healers on the for the heroes that have like priests and stuff like that that'll heal, or priestess that'll heal them up. So then you're having to like basically fight like damn near double the people in front, because you'll get the warriors down to like 3 hits left to death, and then all of a sudden they're at full health. So that little fireball helps a lot by damaging everybody in the area. And once she gets higher up in the level, she also has another ability. There's our last ability, and it is where she summons like 3 shadow creatures that come in, and they're like close range uh, melee attackers, if that makes any sense. It's weird. So basically they'll float up and they'll shoot out like they'll like suck the shadow off them or something. Oh no, that's how they do damage though. Hers is like herself as a character, very funny. Um, Obviously, as you can tell from the photo, she's good to look at. And she's one of my probably one of my favorite villains of all time. just because of the, like I said, she's funny and she's hot. So that's pretty cool. All right. Now this guy right here, as you can see from the bottom, I definitely just screenshotted a photo because none of his photos were JPEGs or PNGs, so I couldn't just download the bitch. Uh, this is the narrator in the series. He's also the narrator for Stanley Parable, which I found out when looking up, trying to find pictures of the narrator. Which I was just trying to find anything that could be like, I don't know if he had like some kind of design that was never showed in the game, but his name is uh Kevin Bridings, I believe. He's he narrates basically a lot of things in the game. He's the one who gives you hints and stuff like that. And as a character towards the series, besides really kind of sort of explaining what's going on, or just kind of giving sarcastic background comedy, and all kinds of stuff. He's not really a character per se. I just thought he deserved a special mention because the voice acting in this is it's good. It's good voice actor, and it's very funny. That's all I'd have to say about him. Like he definitely is my second favorite character in the game. Uh, and he brings most of the humor, in my opinion, to the actual series. All right, then we're on to the next character, which is the Ultimate Evil, which is your character because you are playing the Ultimate Evil. Uh, so your character, you never really see him, because technically in the beginning of the game, until he comes to have that boss fight I told you about with Talia's father, he is he's not there in person. I will say that I guess through his power and stuff like that, when you're inside the dungeon itself, he's a floating hand. I also found out that if you press the L key while you're in the dungeon and just doing shit, he'll do evil laughs, which is something funny. I found out. The fact that they made that into the game is funny to me. But yeah, usually he's the one that is has all the power. He's got the spells. He's telling Talia what to do. He's letting charging forth, and uh, really just fucking causing mayhem and everything. Everywhere he goes. That's enough for that character. Ain't much else to say, man. Okay, so here's the creatures and units. So the goblins, which is the first character, that's in the very top left. They're little dudes that hold daggers. They're like I said, they're more like roguey stuff like that. And then once you buy the upgrade, you can actually get them a suit of armor that like where they have a little flamethrower. And once they're killed the first time in that armor, the armor will explode and they'll pop out, and then they'll go back to stabbing. They can also operate certain machines in the dungeon, like for example, making the trap doors and stuff like that requires you to make a room where you take the workshop. There's another room where there's a workshop and you have your little snots going in there and you're making the making workshop boxes or whatever what they're called. And you doing that, they'll make those boxes, they'll bring them to the trap room, and then the goblins and or the orcs and or the naga will work on there to produce those boxes to be able to put the traps down. Uh, Also at level 6, in order to make sure they can level up even more and they don't go on the strike, because your units can in fact go on the strike. They uh, they require beer, and that requires a room for little snots to work in, which are you know it's just an ale room. I should also talk about the little snots real quick. Little snots are basically little dudes that run around and they mine gold around the gold mine areas. They'll excavate for you. They'll put up walls. They'll put fill in dirt spots if need be. They'll uh, operate the workshop machinery. They'll work with the ale room. They'll make the ale. Um, they build everything. They're just worker units, and you can slap on them to make them work faster too. Which is another thing that's funny about the game. And all right, so but for the second horde faction, because that's the name of the faction, you have the orcs. And the orcs are just big dudes with clubs, and that beat the shit out of people. They're frontline tank units. And I end up using the horde honestly the most out of them all. Uh, and whenever you get to level 6, once again they need ale, and once you research the right thing, they get basically, and what I like to think of is like just basically like a medieval football uniform. As you can see, they've already got a helmet, football helmet on, and it's just basically a bunch of tanks. They drop their club off and they just start beating the shit out of people with their hands, and they look massive as fuck. All right, for the third unit, you have the Naga. The Naga is your healer, and it is the only character that I know of that heals anybody. They can heal all the demons and all the horde characters, but they cannot heal the undead. Um, they're the backline units, and they can also attack if there's nobody that needs healing. But you'll see that once after that first attack, usually they'll start immediately healing the front line because they're taking damage. Once again, level 6, need ale. Then you have the ogre. The ogre actually has its own story mode or story level. Not story mode. He has his own level in the story. Uh, Basically, he drinks way more ale than everyone else. He's a big ass frontliner, and he's very good at stunning enemies with his special ability. And he's a big motherfucker. In all honesty, for him, I don't ever. He's got the most health, I think, and he just is. To me, he's never worth it. In my personal opinion, the stunning is nice and everything, but it's not really, he's a good unit, but that's about it. On to the next faction, we have the demons. So that first little dude right there, he's that little demon fucker. He's my favorite demon to choose because his entire attack pattern is to launch small fireballs. That's his whole thing. He's a backline fire. He shoots little fireballs, and he does good damage. They also have a special room where they can generate mana, which is basically you send any demon in there, and they'll sit there and they'll work on a machine that basically creates mana that allows you to do spells like being able to make a portal back to the dungeon heart, anywhere on overworld, shooting out fireballs, summoning undead creatures that don't last very long, shooting arrows, basically giving everybody a buff and attack damage, all kinds of spells. Mana is also used for demons when they die. If a demon dies, they go back to where their little bed is and they get resurrected uh, by basically mana will channel into them to resurrect them. Uh, other than that, though, The demons are just those demons are pretty good. And you have the spider demon, which has a name that I'm not going to pronounce. He's a tankier demon, who is like more of a mid range. Like he's also ranged, but he's not as ranged as the other one. He he's usually just kind of like mid there, just shooting the shit out and everything. Oh, I will say that both for all the demons as well as once they hit level 6, just like with the horde, they need a special room. For them, it's a mana bath. Basically, was what it is they'll take mana. The snots will build them baths. They'll take the mana in there and they'll fill the mana up and let them bathe in it, which is like a relaxing thing or something. And then we get on to the succubuses. The succubuses are good. The design is good too. I mean, obviously you can't go wrong with hot chicks. Am I right? Uh, but no, their abilities are different. So they're also mid rangers. But their entire shtick is they'll enthrall or charm enemies and to basically kind of fight to help you fight in the battle and stuff like that. It doesn't last long usually. I think I've never really seen it like do much really in a fight, so I usually never use them for fights too much, honestly. Um, but they have a special room for them. So once you have people, heroes that come into the dungeon to try to destroy the dungeon, and once they're defeated, the little snots will drag them to a room where they basically hang them up, and those lust the succubuses will basically beat the shit out of them until they uh decide to join, and then they become corrupted heroes, and then their units, you get more units basically to use to attack and stuff like that. So I usually have them either making mana or just doing that. And we get on to the very end where you got the fucking, I believe he's the pit fiend, I believe. Um, he's a big old flame minotaur. He's got the highest attack out of all the big units. Um, and he has a special ability that allows him to basically shoot out a ring of fire or something like that. Like basically like a fire blast where he's centered on himself. It doesn't go very far, but it does good damage. Um, and he'll help you rip through people like left and right. He's also part. He has his own story mode as well as not story mode, story level as well. That involves you having to basically sacrifice pieces like a sacrifice toenail or no, it was centaurs, toenails, spider legs, um, and then grave dust, I believe, to um to summon him, and it was pretty funny. Um, and on to the last faction of creatures. You have the undead. First one is the Banshee. They are more of a support unit. They basically they scream, and when they scream, it lowers everyone's attack, all the enemies' attacks, so where they're not doing as much damage. So I usually will have like one of them. Other than that, though, they have the undead have when they die, all the undead they just immediately go back to the dungeon and they go back to their graves and they heal in their graves and they come back. So if you choose the undead, or even this also goes for the demons too. But if you choose the undead, more than likely you're going to those are going to be permanently taken for your armies. Uh, some other units I'm gonna talk about real quick before I get on to the last three is whenever you have heroes that are defeated in your dungeon, the little snots will, if you have a graveyard built up, they will drag them to there, and you can have if you get 4 heroes, they'll drag all 4 of those heroes, and they'll basically create like a little grave site, and those heroes will become zombies that you can control as well, and they always comes in packs of 4. I mean, you can like take one if you only want the one, but usually if you pick them up, all 4 of them are gonna get picked up. And then you also have skeleton archers, and that's you have to build a room called the prison, and when you do that, you have heroes that basically rot away in the prison, and it takes a bit for them to rot away, but basically it slowly drains their health away. And when they finally die in that prison, they come back as skeleton archers. And once again, just like with the zombies, they're like little creatures. They don't do shit for damage, and they don't got much health. But they're there and they help take off focus of your other units. All right, and then you have the Lich. Uh, the Lich, I didn't really ever use him much. He's more like an ice mage type situation, so he's a long range caster. Um, and I mean, I don't really know much about it. I mean, I don't know if you could tell, but throughout this entire video, I haven't done any main research. I wanted to give my honest to goodness personal opinion. The most research I did was about that narrator, uh, and that's it. But yeah, so I didn't use the Lich much. He came in pretty late, and he also got snuck in as well. I didn't even realize I had locked him. I think until like the next level. I was like, what the fuck is this? But he's a good. I guess he's a good unit. Like I said, I don't really have anything about him. I just remembered though that there is a special building so that the undead have access to, and that is you have two different buildings, which is the real like a revitalizing chamber. So any unit that die like any horde unit that dies, if you have an undead creature, you can make them work in that chamber, and they will slowly but surely revive that horde character. And when the horde character comes back to life, he's at like no, like he's got like one health, like he's real fucked up. So he's it's got to get healed and everything. But and it takes a lot of time. I lost one or two levels because I forgot that I had built that chamber and my horde units got wiped out. And instead of being able to, and then immediately after I got wiped out, I got attacked, and I was like, "Fuck! I need to bring up my I need to buy more units so I can just swarm this dude or whatever." I mean, I couldn't buy any more units because all my horde characters technically still alive because they've got to get revived, and it was bad. Um, then you have the vampires. Vampires are I think the only horde unit that can heal by themselves in battle, which is sucking the enemy's blood and healing off that. It ain't much though. They're frontline undead. They well, I say frontline, but I think they've got a little range. Basically, they're kind of like the shadows for Talia when she summons. And they come in, they come in, they're like using magic to suck them off. uh, weren't too. Like I said, didn't use him too much too. He kind of came in super late as well and snuck in as well. So I didn't really use them very often to have any kind of real strong opinion about them. Um, I forgot there's another building for the undead, and that is basically you can at level 6 you can build a temple that at level 6 they will go and pray to, and the temple has a really cool thing where they you can sacrifice units or items and you may get something good back. Usually when I sacrificed, I think it was only one time I got something good back, and the rest of the time it was just it was an extra snot. The rest of the time it was they didn't like any of my shit. And they were just like no, and they just sent out like a little bit of gold, or they'll send out like a singular barrel of ale or something like that. All right, and then we get to the very last unit, which is the grave golem or the crypt golem. I can't remember what his name was, but basically he's his story mission is a little different. The crypt golem is his he is a character that is a tank. He's got the highest defense of all the characters, and his special ability is where he basically taunts everybody to attack him. He is also his story is a little sad because basically Talia tries to kill her father by herself without the ultimate evil's help, and then gets fucking jumped really hard, and so she has to escape while he's burning down the entire city to kill her. And that golem appears and basically defends her and ends up giving up his life to protect Talia so she can escape. She doesn't escape though. Actually, she gets captured. So I mean, like, but still, he was able to protect her from dying. And it was a very sad part. Now we're getting on to the bosses. Okay, so you have Talia's stepfather, who is the paladin, and he's slowly but surely throughout the entire series ends up losing his mind. He as a final boss is a good final boss because he's got a lot of health. He'll rip through people. And in the boss fight, you have to actually move your people constantly because there are areas on the ground where he explodes. There's also a spell that Talia ends up learning through the story, which is called Frost Nova. She's able to basically shoot out like a cold wave that puts out flames that he can put up. He also is invincible unless Frost Nova is used against him. Um, and he throughout the entire story, he's constantly coming into Talia, and he's like, "Talia, stop! Don't be evil." And Talia's good side is like, "Okay," but then Talia's bad side is like, "Eat shit, old man." And eventually he snaps, and he starts becoming evil in the name of good. If that makes any sense. So basically, he's like burning down. He's forcing peasants to fight for him, like all kinds of shit. And in the very final mission, like you're while you're trying to get to him, because you gotta like go through a bunch of different like obstacle courses to get to him. There's a couple of heroes that are like trapped because of him, and you could save them, and those heroes will convert to to become good for you. And you can really shows that he like lost his shit, and he just starts killing everybody. And then you have Gimli. I'm gonna call him Gimli, but his name is not Gimli. It's like I said earlier. He's making fun of the Lord of the Rings Gimli, but basically he's a dwarf. He's like super racist. He's like constantly putting down Talia and like talking about like cutting off her ears and shit, and really just giving her shit. And he most of his entire boss fight is involves or boss level really involves a bunch of towers, shooting, and then he's got some giant hammers that they've constructed that basically just attack the dungeon heart directly from the surface. Um, and he wasn't terrible of a boss fight. It wasn't pretty hard. My main thing was that he kept, the main thing about that level though was there was a bunch of dwarves in the dungeon constantly because there's little areas in the dungeon that you would go into, and turns out there's dwarves there that that are in that area. So there's a lot of issues with that level. I mean, it wasn't too terrible though. I mean, you have Yana, which is basically a capitalist magic girl, and she's very about money. Uh, she is she has two levels technically. The first level is where she's trying to stop Oscar, I believe. I want to say that's what the name of the flaming minotaur is Oscar. I might be thinking of something else. But basically, she it pushes him back, and you've got to like slowly but surely push him forward by having your creatures nearby to push the creature forward. Uh, her as a boss fight in itself wasn't difficult. Once again, I think the main thing with her was she would like put blasts, if area, like shoot blasts of shit around her, or not around her, but in areas you'd have to move your units out of so you can keep killing her. Uh, that I mean, she wasn't too terrible of a boss. It was just that one level of where she was pushing back the pit demon that and she's while sneaking in fucking people. That was annoying. She also had, I believe, an ability where she would create portals of destruction inside the dungeon. You had to destroy them. Otherwise, that it would just blow up rooms and stuff like that. And then you have Eldrick, the pretty. He wasn't hard either. Most of that fight was pretty easy. Basically, he splits them off into three people. I think one of them heals. Another one, it was a damage dealer, and he had himself, who was more like a knight. And I just creature swarmed the fuck out of him, took out the healer, easy as fuck. Wasn't difficult. He only had one single level. Wasn't even. It was. You have to understand. It was so difficult to find a picture for him because it was such a like just an unnoticeable boss that I had to go to one of the videos I had made and find a photo of him. so that I could so I could put it in here. Uh, but yeah, other than that, I mean, like I said, just unmemorized. Pretty sure he fucks himself. Uh, that type of stuff. Oh no, for the end of the game, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 gobblers. Uh, because this game, while it's a good game. It's very. I feel like I said that multiple times during the series. It's a very good game. I would definitely recommend it. I would say probably, for me personally, I think $20 would probably be the most I would spend on this game. Not because I don't think it deserves more, but because of the fact that it has age to it. It's a game that holds up to today, but it's also a very niche type of game with the way that it plays it. It's got very good humor though, which makes up for a lot of it. But it was for me as a guy who's been trying to do YouTube stuff. I'm not a talker. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I have issues with trying to make sure that the you know filling in the background. So I bring in my friends, bring in my girlfriend to fill in the void. But this is but yeah, 4 to 5. If I had to say anything, the only thing that would really improve on it would to be maybe being able to let you, first person, not going to say first person, but let you control the unit, like um, like you yourself would be able to go into their point of view. Um, Something like that might be able to help with the game, and you being able to one man versus one army. I mean, I know that's not doesn't really fit the aesthetic of it, but I mean honestly, I just it's a very good game. I just had issues sticking with it too. Like it's just and that's on me personally, uh yeah, and I think that's everything I wanted to talk about in the game. I appreciate everyone who actually watched the whole video. I'm planning on creating this for every video series that I end up finishing. Because I figured it was something I could do to, might as well, right? I mean, I finished the series, but is that the end of it, or what do I do? All right, but anyway, appreciate like and subscribe and all that bullshit. Deuces.